Hey folks, this is Mary. Welcome back to my channel. So, I seem to start a lot of my videos with so. I guess that's an okay intro, but anyway, here we are again, making another video. I haven't had a great week. In fact, it's been a really rough week. I've mentioned before that I struggle with anxiety and depression, and this week, the anxiety and the depression got the better of me. So, one thing I need to do to help myself feel better is to journal, which is why I got into fountain pens to begin with, because I love pens, I love writing, you know, anything cool and fun to help me journal is a good thing. But sometimes my brain just gets so full, there are no words, or maybe there are too many words. I just get stuck. I can't get the words to come out. And then I stew in my own juices, and that's really, really bad for me. So I decided to try something different. Instead of trying to just write words, I decided to do something creative, something artistic, something different. You know, like cross-training, I suppose. I saw a few years ago online a video about junk journaling in a composition book. As you can see, I have some composition books here, and I thought I would give it a try, and I really enjoyed it. And let me get on my soapbox for just a moment here. I feel like as adults, we don't have creative outlets, especially for men. I think it's more acceptable for women to do arty, crafty, fun, colorful things, but I don't think men get the same opportunities, or they don't feel like they can take those opportunities, because I guess art seems to be like a woman thing. I don't know. There's lots of famous male artists in the world, but just on a day-to-day basis, you know, the average man doesn't seem to be, you know, getting out the coloring books and coloring, which you should. It's good for you. And speaking of coloring books, I think that's why they have been so popular in recent years, because you know, when we're kids, we love to draw and doodle and cut stuff out and glue stuff down, and, you know, we'll glue a bunch of macaroni on a paper plate and spray paint it gold, and it's just the greatest masterpiece in the world. And then somewhere around our preteen years, we decide that we're not good enough and we stop. And then we don't have that creative outlet anymore. So coloring, those adult coloring books are a great way to get that creative urge out. You know, you start with the bones of a beautiful picture and you color it in, and then you end up with a beautiful picture in the end that you colored yourself. So, you know, you were active in the creation of that artistic object. So those are good for people, but sometimes you just need to glue stuff down and rip up some paper and, you know, go crazy with stuff. So I tried this this junk journal idea, and actually I was off for Martin Luther King Day, and I was feeling really down, and I went to visit my mom, and I took a bunch of craft supplies up to her house, because she's not into crafts. She is very artistically talented, but if you ask her, she will tell you that she is not, because again, we're all too critical of ourselves. But I took all this stuff up there, and we worked on making these books, and this was what we did, or this is what I did with my book on Monday. And we spent several hours at it, and it was really fun. And I think at first she just didn't know what to expect. She didn't know what she was doing. But she has since really gotten into it, and she keeps texting me saying, "Oh, it's so much fun. I've been working on my book today." So I'm glad. I'm glad I have given her that creative outlet. And as you can see that, you know, there's hardly anything in this book, because I just started working on it. You know, I just made it on Monday. But I followed the ideas of two people, and I will link their videos below. One is Tangi Baxter, and she is the originator of this idea, as far as I know. And then another person who made this idea really popular is Liz Drake. And I've watched a bunch of her videos too, and I will also link her below. So I thought it might be fun for us to make a journal together. You you can watch me do it and then try it yourself. Or if you have things laying around the house and you want to just jump right in with me, you can go ahead and do that. And I know there's a bunch of you men out there that are saying, oh, this is not for me, this is a girl thing, I'm not artsy, I'm not crafty, I just use fountain pens. Well, if you think about it, fountain pens are pretty creative because you tinker with the pens, they come in beautiful materials and beautiful finishes, you have wonderful colorful inks that you use, and we do swatches, which is basically like painting on cardstock. And fountain pens are a creative outlet for people who maybe don't feel like they have a creative outlet. So before you poo-poo this idea, I think you should give it a try. So I am daring all of you to give this junk journal idea a try. I have watched some videos of junk journals online, and people take old mail or beautiful scrapbook paper and they make books. They bind books themselves, which just seems really advanced for me. It's very intimidating to me. So I'm not at that level yet, but I can take a pre-made composition book like this and turn it into something fun. So the materials don't have to be expensive. This is a composition book that I got on clearance at Office Max for $1. You can find these at dollar stores, Dollar Tree, Dollar General, all those places. Now, one thing, if you'll notice, I don't know if you can see this or not, but right here at the bottom it says made in Vietnam. And for some reason, paper that's made in Vietnam or sometimes India is a little bit nicer than paper that's made in America. Generally, American-made paper, I hate to say it, is pretty crappy. And I'm sorry that that's true, but it's true. So if you can find a book where the paper is made in another country, I think you might have better results. But even if you can't, don't let that stop you. Get that composition book with American-made paper and start slapping stuff in there. So I have my composition book. I have my sticker book that I got on clearance at Tuesday Morning. Tuesday Morning has cheap prices, and then they put stuff on clearance, so it's even better. I have some book pages from a book that we were discarding at the library. And I know, before you accuse me of heresy, we do discard books at the library. You have to prune the bush to keep it healthy, so we have to weed our collection to keep our collection healthy, so it's okay. And then what else are we going to use? I have some stamp pads. I got these at Michael's. They were like $2 each. You don't have to use stamp pads. You can use crayons or markers. And heck, we all have fountain pen ink, so slap some fountain pen ink on your pages. But we'll get to that in a minute. What else do we need? Oh, I still have all of my supplies from my craft time with my mom in a bag. So let me just grab this stuff out here. Sorry for the crinkling. Some ribbon. Again, I got this very inexpensively at Tuesday Morning. You can also get this at Walmart. You don't have to use ribbon. Look around your house, see if you have some string or some yarn, or if you have thicker ribbon, you can cut it. Don't let any lack of supplies be a barrier to you. And what else do we need? We need the notebook and the ribbon and some paper. Oh, I have some magazine pages that I have saved from magazines. So these are really great things to use in your junk journal. We all have old magazines laying around, and you probably subscribe to magazines that you like, so look through your magazines that you enjoy and tear pictures out of them that speak to you. So it could be a gardening magazine, a craft magazine, a hunting magazine, a car magazine, whatever. Just tear out the pictures that you like and save them. This is a great thing to do when you're sitting in front of the television, watching a movie or something. Just flip through the magazines, tear out the pages that you like. Don't stop and read the articles. Don't get bogged down and stuff like that. You're just ripping out the pictures that you like. And then I think the last thing is some paper. Now this is not necessary, but if you have it, if you have a bunch of craft supplies laying around, or your spouse, your friend, your kids, whoever, if they have some paper, construction paper will work, wrapping paper will work, anything like that. You can tear up a paper bag. I have a paper bag. But I got this at Hobby Lobby, and this was a really good deal. It's 50 sheets of scrapbook paper for $3.99. Can you see that? Ooh, I love a bargain. And it's a bunch of different ones. A bunch of, let me see if I can show you here. It's a bunch of different papers. Can you kind of see some of those in there? Just all different stuff. And it's so funny. On the front of the package, it says, please refrain from opening package. Because every time they make these packs at Hobby Lobby, I don't get to Hobby Lobby very often. But when I go, I always look for these packs of paper, and they're always torn to pieces because people are just picking through them. Come on, folks. They're a bargain because they're wrapped up in a package. You know, if you got to pick out your own sheets, then you'd have to pay full price for them. So anyway, I think that's all the supplies that we need. And then I also have some little bits and pieces to stick in my journal. So I have a tea tag and a tea bag wrapper and some different things. So we'll get to that later. So, according to Miss Tangi Baxter and Miss Liz Drake, the first thing you want to do with your notebook is to crinkle the pages. Now, I will link the videos for you to watch, and they each do it a little bit differently, and I probably do it a little bit differently from them, and that's fine. So, you know, take my advice, take their advice, change it the way you want it, and just run with it, because it's supposed to be fun and unique and for you and what you enjoy. So, you know, just do what you want to do. But I'm going to crinkle all of my pages, and it's going to be loud, so I'm probably just going to fast forward through this part. So I will see you in a minute. Okay, so my pages are all crinkled now. And this thing has grown into a beast, but it's so much fun. This is a great way to let out your aggressions. It's also something really fun to do with your kids. So if you feel silly doing this by yourself, get your kids involved. If you're a teacher, you can do this with your students. Or if you are embarrassed to do it in front of other people, just, you know, go into your office and shut the door and do it by yourself. As I mentioned, I did this with my mom, and we had a great time. Okay, so I want to find the middle just so I can keep track of it. I should have done that before I started crinkling pages, because now it's going to be really hard to find it. Okay, I think that's my middle. So, of course, the middle is where you can see the strings. And I'm just going to stick a little piece of washi tape there so I can keep track of it. So, whew, hi. It's so big. At this point, Tangi Baxter recommends gluing paper onto your pages. And I don't think she recommends wrinkling all of them. I like to wrinkle all of them. If you don't want to wrinkle all of your pages, you don't have to. Also, this is something good to do sitting in front of the television. You can just mindlessly crush the paper. And don't worry if you tear it, if you get holes. I tore it in several places. You know, it doesn't matter. Look, see, here's one. There's a big hole right there. Oops. Oh dear. Okay. You know, it's junk journal. It doesn't matter. You can do whatever you want to do. There are no mistakes in this journal. It's all good. It's all art. It's all creative. It's all fun. It's all stress relieving. No stressing allowed. That was one thing that my mom kept doing when we were working on this. She kept saying, oh, mine doesn't look like yours. Mine doesn't look like yours. It shouldn't. Every book is unique to the person that makes it. So, you know, just relax and have fun. Okay, oops, see, here's some more tears. Oh dear, I tore it. Oh no, what am I going to do? I'm going to move on with my life. So Tangi recommends gluing scrapbook paper, I think on like all the pages, but I don't like to do that. I like to glue some of my pages together. So I have some rubber cement. And this stuff is darn hard to find. Oh my gosh. Apparently people sniff this, which I can't imagine because it stinks. I mean, it smells bad. So I don't know why people would want to sniff that, but you know. Why do people do anything? The mysteries of the human race. And I also have some giant Elmer's glue sticks, whichever you prefer. If you don't have a glue stick and you don't have rubber cement, you probably have a bottle of liquid Elmer's somewhere. You can use a tape runner or double-sided tape, whatever you want to use. So I'm going to glue some of my pages together. You can glue them together if you want. If you don't want to, you don't have to. But that's what I'm going to do. And again, I'm going to run through my book and glue some pages together. And then I will see you in a minute. Alright, so we're all glued, and I'm playing some music in the background. I hope it's not too loud. I hope it's not distracting, but I just thought it was funny. The song that's currently playing is called I Am No Mermaid, and I think the artist's name is Sinead Lohan, but mermaids are so popular these days, but I just think it's hilarious because this song, the woman is singing how she's not a mermaid and she's, you know, not under anybody else's thumb. She's strong and independent. So I just thought that was interesting, a kind of a different take on things. But anyway, I digress. So if you can guess the names of any of the songs that are playing in the background, you get a gold star. Okay. So I glued my pages, I crinkled my pages, I glued my pages, and now there's two things I can do. I can glue some paper down, or I can use my ink pads. And I think I want to use my ink pads. But you can do whichever one you choose. So I have these pretty colors. So this is the point where you can use your ink pads, you can use crayons or markers. I think Liz drank one time, she broke open a marker and pulled the foam inside out of it and rubbed that on her pages. And if you want to use a crayon, I would recommend taking the paper off of it and using it, you know, using it like this on the page. Did you ever do bark rubbings as a kid? This is kind of like a bark rubbing because we've got all these crinkles on our paper. So when I take my ink pad, I've taken the lid off of it, and I rub it over the page, it's going to show me where all of those cool wrinkles are. And you can use as much or as little color as you want. You can blend colors. I can add some blue to this and maybe make some purple. Whatever you want to do. Whoops, oh, there's a big streak there. Let's see if we can blend him out a little bit. Oh well, that's fine. No mistakes in a junk journal. So what I like to do is just take one color and just go through the book and, you know, randomly put some color on the pages. And I have several ink pads, so I'm just going to kind of skip through and hit pages here and there. And I will do this with all of the ink pads. There was something I was going to tell you. Oh, I remember. So some of you may have seen the video that I called the Nib of Doom. That's this little guy right here. The little crusty, rusty nib that appeared on my living room floor. Can you see that? I mean, it is pretty funky and gross and old. But I think I have finally figured out where it came from. So I have an obsession that I haven't shared with you, and that obsession is typewriters. About a year ago, the end of 2019, I became obsessed with typewriters. And I don't remember why. I think I was watching CBS Sunday Morning, which is one of my favorite shows. And I think they did a piece about a typewriter repairman or Tom Hanks or something. Tom Hanks is a fan of typewriters. Something like that. I don't remember. But anyway, I just became obsessed with them, and I had to have one. So I started scouring the internet looking for one that I could afford. Because, you know, typewriters can get expensive, especially if you get one that's been refurbished and cleaned and repaired and it looks beautiful and everything. They are hundreds of dollars, and I can't afford hundreds of dollars for a typewriter. So I was able to acquire some. So January of 2020, about a month into my obsession, I had managed to get 4 of them, and I felt like I was at a good stopping point. The final one that I had purchased was an Olivetti, and I didn't look at the ad closely enough, and it was missing a key. And that really distressed me, and I gave up for a while. But now the bug has bitten me again. So January of 2020, I had 4 typewriters, and January of 2021, I have 16, maybe? So that's a lot of typewriters. But anyway, the whole purpose of me telling you this is this nib. So I was looking on Craigslist, and this gentleman had a typewriter collection that he was getting rid of. He had 6 typewriters, and they were all pretty old. And I should say that I like manual typewriters, and I like the old metal ones. I don't like electric ones, and I don't like the more modern plastic ones from like the 70s and the 80s. I like the old metal ones from the 60s and earlier. So all of the ones that he had were older typewriters. Most of the really old ones are just plain black. Occasionally there would be a red one, but mostly they were just black metal, or, you know, black enameled metal. So this gentleman had 6 typewriters that he was selling, and this was New Year's Day. New Year's Day, 2021. I looked on Craigslist and saw this guy getting rid of his typewriter collection, 6 typewriters, and I just had a fit, had to have them. Sent him a message, and he said, yes, they're still available, but somebody is coming to look at them, so you better hurry. So I rushed over there, and of course this other person had only purchased 1 typewriter, but it was the one that I wanted the most. Always the way. But anyway, I took the other 5 because, you know, I couldn't abandon them. They're too beautiful and precious. So, all the typewriters had cases, and I had set a couple of them next to my dining room table while I figured out where to put them. And the other day I was, you know, making room in my soon-to-be office, my someday office. And I then moved them. I picked up the cases that were next to the dining room table, and I moved them into the other room. And then when I came back, this nib was sitting there. So the nib has fallen out of one of the typewriter cases, which I just think is so cool. You know, the typewriters are, you know, upwards of 100 years old, which means that this nib is upwards of 100 years old. And here was this person using a manual typewriter and also using a dip nib. I just think that's the coolest thing. So the nib is an Esterbrook, and I have a couple of vintage Esterbrook pens, but they have screw-in nib units. They're not nibs like this. This is the kind of nib that you just insert into a nib holder, but the Esterbrooks that I have, you screw the whole nib and feed into the pen body. So anyway, I just thought that was really cool. And, you know, a little relic from the past. So it's no longer the nib of doom. It is the nib of history, the nib of antiquity, just like these typewriters. And gosh, I don't know. I would love to do some videos about my typewriters, but I don't even know where to begin. And like I said, I can't afford the really nice revamped ones that you can buy on Etsy. So of course the ones that I have purchased are, you know, not working. They're terrible. They're in terrible condition, terrible messes. But I love them anyway. But just like a nervous mother, I don't want anyone to judge my children, so I don't want to put my dirty old broken down typewriters on the internet where people can ridicule them, because I think they're beautiful and special just the way they are. And someday I will figure out how to fix them. I am learning. I have been working on them. And gosh, I spent this afternoon with some Q-tips and some rubbing alcohol and a canister of compressed air. And I just had the best time cleaning typewriter keys. Talk about therapeutic. It was wonderful. So I highly recommend it. If you have an old typewriter in the back of a closet somewhere, get that puppy out and get out your rubbing alcohol and just go to town. And if you do have a typewriter in the back of your closet and you don't think you want it anymore, let's talk. I might be able to remove that burden from your life. Anyway, I could talk about typewriters forever, just like I could talk about fountain pens forever. So I don't know if any of you out there are interested in typewriters, but they are just fascinating and beautiful. They are little marvels of engineering. They're just amazing. They're tabletop printing presses, and I just love them. And oh, it breaks my heart when I go on eBay and I see a lot meaning a group, a lot of typewriter keys that someone has cut off of a machine, and they're just selling the keys, not the typewriter. They've trashed the typewriter. The typewriter has bitten the dust, and here are the poor severed keys. They have decapitated this typewriter. Oh, it's so upsetting. So now my goal in life is to rescue all of the junky old typewriters that nobody wants, because I have nothing better to do with my life, I suppose. So I'm amassing quite a collection of dusty old typewriters, but I do love them. And I'm learning how to make them work, and that's really fun, and it's a feeling of accomplishment to, you know, learn how to fix something. And there's a typewriter shop up in Philadelphia. I think it's called Philly Typewriter. And they have classes on how to fix typewriters. And I was actually going to sign up for their classes in 2020, but, you know, COVID. So I emailed them the other day and said, are you guys still going to have classes? And this really sweet man emailed me back. And he said, thank you so much for your interest. We're not doing classes now because of the pandemic, but we hope to do them in the future when it's safe to, you know, gather in groups again. So I will just take the train up to Philadelphia, me and one of my typewriters, and learn how to fix that baby. And that will just make my day. So, you know, if you have any odd obsessions, please share. Although I have to say, if you're a fountain pen user, people probably think you're weird. So my typewriter obsession is not that different from a fountain pen obsession. I seem to like all the old things. I have a manual transmission car. I actually learned to drive on a manual transmission car. And nearly every car I've owned in my life has been a manual transmission. And now I'm into fountain pens and typewriters and, you know. I still have a landline at my house. I can't seem to give up my landline. It's not a rotary phone, though. That'd be really funny if it was. But anyway. So, yeah, the inking. Now, this green ink pad, for some reason, he likes to roll up. See that little booger? He is just rolling up. So I'm probably not going to use very much green because the ink pad just doesn't want to cooperate. And it's pretty smelly. Oh my goodness. I don't know if these ink pads all smell like this. Well, yeah, they do smell, but this one smells the strongest, so I don't know what that means. But anyway, so we're inking. This is going to be the world's longest video, which is okay, because that's what fast forward is for. The problem is my camera cuts off when I get to 30 minutes, so I'm going to get cut off here in a minute. But thanks to the magic of editing, there will be no interruption for you. Ooh, look at that poor little ink pad. Oh, he's just not having a good day. Okay, come on, buddy. Here we go. We're looking for some blank pages here to put some color on. And that's the whole point of this. The point of crinkling the pages was to give yourself some texture and some places for the ink to settle. Because, you know, if you just did this on a flat piece of paper, you wouldn't get these cool little lines and bumps and things. And the reason that we're prepping these pages is to give us something to work with once we start adding things to the journal. Now, you can use this junk journal just as a place to collect things and glue things. You can also write in it. You can use it like a journal and have, you know, all these crazy backgrounds and write over top of them. I haven't decided what I want to do. I think I've got my writing journal, which I like the way it is, but when I just can't deal with the writing, I think I will turn to this journal and, you know, glue some stuff in it, which is really fun and really therapeutic. So I highly recommend it. I hope you give it a try. Okay. I think we've got something on most of the pages. And you know what they say about, whew, look at that poor ink pad. They say it's like fear of the blank page. So by putting stuff on the pages, then you don't have to worry about the pages being blank. So let me see. What shall we do next? I think we are going to tie on some ribbons. Now this is something that Tangi Baxter recommends. We're going to take ribbon and we're going to tie it around the binding of the book. Now these are sewn composition books and they are pretty sturdy, but once you start gluing paper in and gluing other stuff in, and who knows what you might end up putting in here, you know, greeting cards or packaging or whatever you want to put in here, the book is going to get really bulky and it's going to put a lot of pressure on the binding. So if you tie it with ribbon, that'll help support the binding. So I have some different colors here and I'm going to decide which ones I want to use. And, oh, I think I dropped some in the floor, which is okay. We'll just work with what we have. So, let's see. So I think Tangi recommends 6 6 different, ooh, it's driving me crazy. I can't find that ribbon. It has vanished. I'm telling you, the gremlins, they just steal stuff out from under my nose. She recommends tying 6 ribbons on to help support the binding. But for me, I find the easiest thing is to do 5 ribbons. So 1 in the middle, and remember, here's where I marked the middle. 1 in the middle, and then 2 on this side, and 2 on this side. So, anyway, you'll have lots of colorful ribbon on your book. Oh, let's see. And I like to tie longer strings so they kind of hang down like, oops, like this one that I made before. See, it's got these like streamers on there, which are really fun. Ooh, and see, these are kind of loose. That's not good. I'm going to have to retie that because the whole point is the ribbons being tight to hold the binding together. But anyway, I love the long streamers. And then you can tie charms on them, or, you know, whatever you want to do. So I'm going to approximate how much ribbon I need. And then I'm going to tie it around the middle. Let me see if I can do this so you can see it. Can you see this? Well, shoot, everything's fallen in the floor. Okay. I think you can see this. So you just tie it around the book, and you want to tie it as tight as you can, and knot it, tie it in a bow, whatever you want to do. And honestly, at some point, I want to cover this with paper and probably put some duct tape around the center. So I think I'm going to end up untying this so I can put my duct tape on there. But I'm just showing you what to do to get you started. So, let's see. Oops, where did that one go? I was going to tell you something else. What was I going to tell you? Uh-oh. Drawing a blank. Okay, so I'm going to put 2 on this side and 2 on this side. So you can just kind of eyeball it. It's not perfect. It's a junk journal. Doesn't matter. Gosh, what was I going to tell you? Can't remember. Oh, my poor brain. My poor overloaded brain. Oh, can you see that? I don't think you could see that. Oh, now see, I didn't make this one very long, which is fine. You don't have to make them long if you don't want to. But I think it's fun to have the long pieces hanging down. And I think I already mentioned this, but you can tie stuff to them. So there's that one. And then, let's see. Okay, at some point the video cut off, and I'm not sure where we were when it cut off, but I'm just tying the ribbons around the binding. And I'm not getting them very tight for some reason. That's not good. One thing you definitely want to do is get your ribbons tied nice and tight, because that's the whole point. It's going to help hold the binding together. Ooh, can you see that? I'm just tying a knot in it. Alright, so none of my ribbons turned out to be very long this time. But the one I did the other day, they had super long ribbons, which is really fun. So, anyway, I think I'm going to stop here, because I've been rambling on about my junk journal long enough. But if you're interested, please let me know in the comments, and I will continue decorating. The next step, of course, would be to glue paper in your pages. So if you'd like to see that next time, let me know, and we will keep gluing in our book and reducing our stress at the same time. So I hope you enjoyed this, and please take care of yourselves until next time, and I will see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.